writing true life stories is a minefield of potential risk. There are unauthorized biographers. Kitty Kelley is famous for writing unauthorized biographies of Elizabeth Taylor and Frank Sinatra, and these are bestsellers. There are things called libel laws. Defamation is an untrue statement that subjects someone to embarrassment or hatred or obloquy, or to be shunned or avoided in society. So in writing a memoir or a story where there are either it's about someone who's alive or someone who was once alive, those people have relatives, and their relatives are very sensitive, and their relatives may be reading that book. And when you say this person did this act, to use a very salacious example, so-and-so was a child molester. It's a very serious allegation. Whether they're living or dead, it can cause great upset in their family and their extended social circle. If it's false, that's a libelous accusation, and it can result in a serious lawsuit and millions of dollars of liability. But there's also something called privacy rights, public disclosure of private facts. If someone has a criminal record and it's not known, and you disclose in a book that so-and-so went to prison for this or that criminal act, that could be a public disclosure of a private fact. Outing, so-and-so is gay, so-and-so has AIDS, so-and-so slept with so-and-so. These are private facts, and the disclosure of them is a civil tort. You can trigger a civil lawsuit. So when you're writing a memoir, I recommend, first of all, be very careful. If possible, you want to get a life story option release permission from the subject that you're writing about that gives you the right to write about that person and to fictionalize things. And that person will have access to, even if they're a famous celebrity and you're using 3 sources from public information, which you do with an unauthorized biography, so everything can be annotated and you can cross-check and have references for the factual allegations you're making in the book from 3 public sources. Even if it's not a public figure, if a private figure you're writing a memoir about them, they will give you access to their scrapbook and private stories and things that wouldn't be public. But you also need to know the relatives that are involved. They're telling a story, oh yes, my daughter failed her driving test the first time. The daughter's still alive. The daughter may be very embarrassed by that and not want it in the book. So you need to reach out to any family members, living members who, you can't libel a dead person, who are implicated or maybe implicated in the writing of the book. We had an example of a true story, a crime story. So-and-so, their neighbor was a serial killer. In the story of the book, they talked about the neighbor having her office above the 7-Eleven at the corner of such and such and such and such. Well, it wasn't her home address, but it might as well have been. It's telling the world, here's a witness to the serial killer, it was her neighbor, and here's her office right here. Inadvertent, terrible disclosure. We have to take that out when we vet the book. So even inadvertent disclosures. What I recommend is memoirists, fictionalize. Just fictionalize it. Often you don't, if it's a true life story, you have to tell the true story and you get everyone's rights, or you triple check everything annotated, have the lawyers vet it before it's published to be sure there's 3 reliable sources. This way you did with, the Watergate books, 3 reliable sources for everything that the Washington Post was going to publish. But if you can fictionalize. If it's a story about a man, make it a woman. If they're in the Northeast, make it in the Southwest. If it was set in the 1800s, put it in the 1900s, so that the person you're writing about would not be able to recognize themselves. That is the test.